Thank you for joining me today. I am here with my son. I can't think of a better way to do this presentation because this is just so special, so wonderful to have my own family. I made a post on Instagram yesterday and it's under my tips, highlights, and it says, starting your own family is the best way to heal from the trauma of adoption. It's true. I really enjoy I really enjoy spending time with my son, and you want to get down? There you go. A while ago, few years ago, I always felt like I had a hole in my chest, that I had a hole in my heart. And thankfully, I don't feel like that anymore. I'm so happy that I do not feel like that anymore. People noticed, people would tell me, my friend would tell me, and I've taken quite a few steps to healing myself. One of them was reconnecting with my biological mother, and that truly healed me, to be able to spend time with her. And of course, last year I had my son, and that has truly made a huge difference for me. So if you are struggling, I'm not sure what it feels like for the male that are adopted, but as a woman, being able to carry my own child, to be able to care for my own child, has made a huge difference in my mood and overall life. Anyway, I started Adoption News as an adoptive children networking media group dedicated to bringing awareness to the experience of failed adoption of adopted children and inter-country trafficked children. The goal is to serve the adoption community by empowering the younger generation of failed adopted children by reinforcing resiliency in our community, while educating and informing the world by sharing our true experiences with failed adoption. I hope to be able to influence new laws to ensure that the younger generation of children will not be removed from their biological family unnecessarily, and to ensure that there is continued monitoring of adopted and trafficked children throughout their lives. And also that adoptive parents are held accountable for the responsibility that they signed to undertake. This has been a lifelong dream for me, to be able to create a platform, to be able to network with other adoptees, and hopefully we can contribute to use our voice to ensure that changes are made to the current system. Now, please don't he's playing. Now, Adoption News is non-funded, and so we need the support of viewers like yourself. Your contribution will ensure that we are able to continue to contribute to the betterment of the adoption community. To do that, you can visit godsavila.com. I will have the link in the description below. Under Contact or Support Us, you'll find various ways to contribute to this program. We thank you in advance. During my darkest days as a child, I held on to anything I could find on the internet related to adoption. The people that shared their experiences made a difference for me. The reality is abusive, nasty, disgusting adoptive parents that do not uphold the promise to provide us a family are counting on our silence to continue their abuse. So we have to speak up. We really have to speak up. Otherwise, everyone, the whole world will think that things are okay at their current state. Anyway, on to the topic for the day. We are talking about inter-country adoption statistics. Statistics are important because they help us to have an idea of how things are going and help us to have a trajectory for a better future. So, how many children are adopted every year in the world? It is estimated that 260,000 adoptions take place worldwide each year. Domestic adoptions outnumber inter-country adoptions. Now that's good because I believe that inter-country adoptions are way harder on children than domestic adoption. With inter-country adoptions, majority of the time the children have to learn a new language, different culture, and it's just traumatic all around. In 2020, there were 1,622 inter-country adoptions to the US, and this was a decline from 2,971 adoptions in 2019. Are inter-country adoptions successful? The truth is, failed adoptions are extremely common and they are underreported. There are no real statistics available for inter-country adoption. This has to change because, again, as I mentioned earlier, knowing the numbers, knowing what's going on with the children will help us to get on a better path to improve life for adopted children. So 80 out of 260 children needing to be rehomed were inter-country adoptees. That's a 70% rate. More than 66,000 US adoptees ended up in the foster care system between 2008 and 2020. It's estimated that 12 adoptions fail every day. Why is inter-country adoptions declining? The shortage of adoptable children is due to a decline in the number of orphaned or abandoned children and an increase in domestic adoptions, but also a range of political measures to eradicate child trafficking through stricter controls on inter-country adoptions. What is human trafficking and why does it matter? Human trafficking is the transporting, soliciting, recruiting, harboring, providing, maintaining, or obtaining a person for the purpose of exploiting that person for either commercial, sex activity, labor, or other services through the use of force, fraud, or coercion. Yes, love. The statistics compared to my experience. I personally know 6 adoptees / child trafficking survivors. I say / child trafficking survivors because when adoptions fail, the line between adoptee and child trafficking survivor is very thin. It's very thin. A lot of these adoptions are done unethically. Out of the 6 adoptees that I know, only one of them is what I considered successful. That's a 17% success rate with an 83% failure rate. Think about that. Out of 6 children that were adopted, only one is what you would consider an appropriate placement. If we were to compare the total number of adoptions from year 2020, that's a 17% success rate, which is 270 successful adoptions out of the total 1,622 children. With an 83% failure rate, we're looking at 1,352 adoptions that failed out of 1,622 adoptions total. Now the question is that enough? Is that enough? Is an 83% failure rate enough to cause the world, the G20, the powerful countries, the people with money to separate biological families from each other? Because the truth of the matter is that this industry is being fueled by people with money that are able to buy children. Is 83% fail rate enough? Are there other options? Now, I did want to mention that there is a situation where adoption could be appropriate, and that's only if a child's mother and father are dead. And then it should be checked whether other biological family members are able to care for that child. If they are not able to care for that child, then adoption can be considered. I see a lot of discussions on Instagram about that, and some people are going as far as saying adoption should be illegal, period. And this view is coming from adopted children that had closed adoptions where their records were altered to show that their adoptive family were in fact their biological family, and that creates a lot of issues because they lose health information, and it's not right. So they are arguing that instead of adoption, people that are interested in helping orphans should be guardians, as opposed to altering records and changing information pertaining to adopted children. Yes, love. You'd like some more? It is a very complicated topic to how would I say, to tackle, because our experiences are so diverse. While we can relate to each other as adoptees, our experiences are so unique that everyone's view is going to be different. But one thing is for sure, that the unethical adoptions that go on are done on the pretext that children are orphans. I was not an orphan. My mother was alive, my father was alive. My mother did sign for me, but she was lied to. She was lied to. She agreed that I would be returned back to visit with her, and that never happened. It never happened. And the fact is, my father never consented to me being taken out of Haiti. So I did have a failed adoption, and it's not just me. As I mentioned earlier, I know 6 other children that were adopted from Haiti, and out of the 6, only one had what I would consider appropriate placement. And even then, there are some things to, what's the word I'm looking for? Reflect on regarding that situation, because it's the trauma of separation. Even though her placement could be considered appropriate, she lost the connection to her biological family. So, what can be done to improve the life of adopted children? What can be done to improve life for adopted children? As I mentioned earlier, we need to do continued monitoring of adopted children throughout their lives. And very early on, if things are not working, actions and steps can be taken to have them placed with different families. And we need to ensure that adoptive parents are held accountable. It is absurd that these people can go in front of a judge, sign papers saying that they will be responsible to provide us a family, and once the judge is gone, once the social worker that does the home study is gone, once you're within their grasp, there is no one to hold them accountable. There's no one to hold them accountable, so they do whatever the F they want. They do whatever they want. It is absurd. It is absurd that they are not, that adoptive parents are not being held accountable for their actions. With that, it's okay, love. With that, I will leave you today. And of course, there's so much to discuss related to adoption, so I'll be posting. Definitely check out my website. Hold on a second. Here you are. Definitely check out my website, and it's the best way to keep in contact because you can get access to all my social media on there. Again, it's godsatila.com. I will have the link in the description down below. I will see you in the next upload.